Hi, Antoine.
Hello Olivier.
Hi, thanks a lot for having me. Today, I would like to try something a bit different, Antoine.
Yeah.
You've been inviting a lot of guests on QE unit,
Mhm.
and I think that's super interesting. But today, I would like to try the opposite. I would like to
Yes.
reverse the situation. And actually, I would like to interview you for once, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people following your work on QE unit. And I realized that we would need to learn a bit more about you to understand who you are, what is your background, and also why you decided to create QE unit and to invest your time on that project.
Okay. Oh, great. Yeah, sure. I'm very happy to do this exercise with you. Yeah.
Perfect. Then maybe we should start by maybe a bit about your life. Where do you come from?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So yeah, a bit of personal part. So yeah, so I will share a bit what I have done before working in IT, so up to 2010. So I was born in Reims, which is the city of the champagne. So yeah, I enjoy it time to time, but only since I'm 18, be reassured. Just as a personal note, we are twins in the family. So I have one brother, which we are twin. So he's also working in engineering, but in the automotive industry. So he's not working in software, but we ended up in the same, I would say, the same type of field from a macro perspective. But at first, I wanted to be a musician, professional. Yeah. Especially, I wanted to be a more orchestra conductor or like a maestro. Yeah. So in fact, I studied a lot music for like 18 years. So it also brought me some type of discipline and practice. And I would recommend, I would say, to anyone to learn music because you learn a lot of stuff applicable to other industry and also to the one of software. So yeah, I play different instruments, drums, percussion, saxophone, and piano. So yeah, and I learned also a lot in that period about failure, stepping back, never let things go, etc. I will share a bit on that in the upcoming book on methods on quality engineering because in fact I learned a lot about methodologies in music that you can apply in the software industry as a whole. So yeah, I'm working on that. Um, as a personal note, I was always someone very busy and I always like to say like trained to work, but I'm not very happy if I don't do something. So it also explains why probably sometimes I'm doing a bit too much stuff for writing content or sharing stuff, etc. So I need probably to calm a bit more. Um, and at school, I was quite average, in fact, because I was not really finding a link between what I was doing and concrete application in my life. So like theoretical, mathematics, physics, etc. I did not enjoy that much. Um, but after I started to work in IT, so I made like I would say a 2 years IT program that was quite concrete. So I wanted some stuff that were very pragmatic. And after I finished my study to a master degree in IT, so it's like a free focus in IT. There was 3 years around business management, finance, and also IT management. But we were already talking about transversal topics like security, code quality, DevOps, that type of stuff. So I always enjoyed that. Um, and at that time, so I was working in France. Yeah. So and I completed that afterwards. So I work in France for 5 years, from 2010 to 2015. I started at La Redoute, which I'm still now. So it's an international retail company. I started as a software engineer and I coded the first line of a test automation framework, which is Cerberus, that is open source since 9 years now. And after, I wanted to organize stuff and deliver results. So I pushed and I had the opportunity to move to project management. And in project management, I did a bit of integration projects, so like data center, stuff like that, very concrete stuff, a bit on the business part. And I also work on some continuous integration topic. So it was like back in 2012 and 2013, we were only talking about continuous integration. So like continuous delivery was not yet, I would say, in the world, in the industry. And I had the opportunity to put in place some practice like that. So we set up a central logging, Jenkins, standardized component, industrialized monitoring, etc. So, and I was in a specific division of La Redoute. The IT was split in two, France and international. And France was like a big bot, and international was like more a startup within a big group. So it was interesting because we had investment, so we were not rich, but we have money to do stuff. But we were more efficient, I would say, and more smaller to iterate with the initiative. So I did that for until 2015. And in 2015, I wanted to live abroad since 3 years. So I had in mind Portugal or Italy, and the story made that I went to Portugal. And it was the period where Redoute entered in a very drastic transformation plan. So the company was making 600 million sales, but losing 50 millions of EBITDA. So it was quite a dramatic situation. We had 4 years like to transform, survive or die, in fact. So and at that period, I moved more to a role of a transformation program director. So I handled some migration project, etc., from a business and application perspective, and also some on infrastructure integration, etc. So I always was in that transversal mindset. So I could do project in a lot of parts in the IT. In fact, project management or program management for me, I think it's a good experience to see all the problems you can have in a software lifecycle with the end-to-end perspective, because you need to deliver a project and you get all the problems that no one has treated in project management, in software, in DevOps, in operation, and you still have to deliver. So for me, it's quite interesting to see the issue in end-to-end flows, in fact. And during that period, I had to lead a very complex project of a new warehouse. So I saw a lot of issues where things are not optimized, in fact, or not working well. So we worked like 8 months without weekends. So it was quite a tough period, and we were pushing the limits. So like we had to deliver every day a lot of changes, trying to deliver, to fix with stability, but it was very complex period. After that period, I had the opportunity to lead the engineering team. So I restructured the team in cross-functional. We did a lot of stuff in the DevOps transformation. So we talk people transversally, restructure the team. And at that time, I work a lot in the engineering productivity part. So I would say from a tech lead, so software design, software architecture, to the delivery and operation, so with observability, metrics, security, etc. And after 2 years ago, so in 2010, we had a new CIO that joined the company for manage the growth, because we survived, I would say, the hard period and we enter in a growth period. And since then, I'm responsible of architecture and technology. So we are like driving the transformation from a business to technology across all perimeter of IT. And I have also in the team some center of excellence, so middleware integration, cloud integration, and Kubernetes. And we are working closely with other teams, but it's a very transversal role to drive the transformation within IT and data team. And during that period, so around 2017, when I started to manage the team, I started to be much more involved in communities, because it was a way for me to be more, I would say, nearby what people were looking at, what people were talking. And I like to know what I'm talking about. So it's not because I'm manager of a team that I don't know how to do the concrete stuff. I like to keep the link end to end. So if I'm talking about something, I normally know how to do it concretely. So I entered in a lot of communities in Portugal and France, because it's the two places I'm mainly based. And I also started some groups of communities, so Tisleria at that time, because I'm based in Leiria, so between Lisbon and Porto. And I also started the Cerberus testing community, Ministry of Testing community. So a lot of communities that are vertical, in fact. And I also participate a lot in data science, DevOps, etc. Because a bit like what I was saying, I always like to have the big picture of things. So, and it's interesting to have a vertical vision of things, because you have the expertise and you need expertise to develop proper stuff with quality. But I think we also need a lot of transversality in anything, in fact, because I remember some people in the company talking about the lack of transversality. And I think from what I saw sometimes in communities, we are very good at mutualizing people in the same community with the same job roles, the same perspectives and mindset, more or less. But it's even harder to do it transversally. I think it's also due to the human nature. But it's also a bit what what led me to create the QA unit, in fact. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Antoine. It's very interesting, your background and the broad set of responsibilities that you covered. If you want to let's be a bit more specific. I would like to understand what led you to work and define the quality engineering. From what you explained already, I can guess there are some background that led you to this project, but can you be more accurate on it?
Yeah, in fact, it was really from shared pain, personal pains, and also from what I see in the ecosystem. For example, when we were struggling in project, or I was struggling in project to deliver, I was seeing really people not talking together end to end, or not understanding each other, or sometimes people taking decision in silo, or it's in some places, lacking the big picture. So locally, it seems like a good idea, but if you look at the big picture, it was really not the right thing to do. So, and I see really this lack of, I would say, big picture sometimes to take optimal decision. And I remember also, because I had the opportunity to have some meetings with the board of directors, etc. of Redoute, even at the CEO level, so the top level of the company. The first meeting we had sharing, okay, what are your driver, what is the key things you want to drive in the company to succeed in the transformation at Redoute. One of the first things the CEO said, and there were two co-CEO, Nathalie Bala and Eric Courtais, they say the lack of transversality, because they are the same type of position. They are CEO, they have all the business unit in front of them to manage, etc. They also see the ecosystem, so the other partners, etc. we have, and they say they really were fighting a lot of time against silo to take optimal decision, because in fact it was a lot of their work to do that, after stuff were not properly done, to do concrete things. So I think the first personal stuff was this one, and the second one I was seeing in the ecosystem, it was a bit for me the very vertical approach to communities. So I think it's very good to create tribes, to say we are a quality assurance community, all test automation, QA analyst, you are happy to join, and it's in French, it's in Portuguese, whatever. All people identify themselves very clearly, so they will talk a lot about their vertical expertise, and it's good. We need this type of communities. But after, I was searching for transversal communities, so joining people in the software industry to deliver better software from the business ideas to the operation. And I was not finding anything. So I was thinking at the beginning, okay, it's probably because it's too large and it's too complex. We try to do everything at the same time, etc. But after sharing with some people, I got convinced that we needed that big picture if we wanted to really transform companies. There is some communities, for example, or it's more a framework, for example, Scale Agile framework. For me, it's an interesting framework with different maturity levels, etc. But it's focused essentially on methodology and organization. And it does not talk anything about architecture or technology topic, for example. There is not a lot about the change management of people, for example, about the skills, and not a lot about the quality culture or software engineering culture, for example. And I was really, it was like for me a challenge. I like challenge. I said, okay, let's try to develop something instead of being very deep in a vertical somewhere in the software lifecycle. Let's try to build something much more transversal to connect the dots. And the objective is not to kill or replace what is existing, is to say, with a big picture, holistic vision, try really to structure a framework of FOCT to be able to deliver, so what I call quality engineering, quality at speed software. So really to say, if we have the big picture, we are able to improve much more with a much more efficient way the global engineering system, and not only local system. So it's always for me start with the big picture, with the end in mind, then act locally. And I think a lot of time in companies, we are very starting the inverse. People work locally, they have the budget, they do what they think is best locally because it's people they are used to work with. But taking the time to have the big picture and try to have a broader perspective, it's harder to do for people. It's really out of their comfort zone in terms of interaction, knowledge, etc. But I think it's what makes the difference. And after, yes, so I worked on I write a lot of articles at the beginning on the QA unit also to practice, because I was not practicing a lot in writing articles, etc. So now I think there is like 150 articles, so I have trained a bit on the process. But after I say, okay, I'm working a lot on quality engineering, QA unit, organizing meetup, podcast, etc. So I step back a bit. So okay, I have to try different stuff. I need to focus on some content. I decided to do it in writing because I decided it was easier to spread. because here I'm talking with a French accent in English, so I know it's not the optimal to share globally. I prefer also, I'm more introvert, so I prefer to write rather than to speak. So I say, okay, let's try something. And I say, but what I will write is to define quality engineering, because when I look at the ecosystem, either I find the definition of quality assurance, or either I find the definition of engineering quality, but on a very specific technology praise to say, put quality gates, put a bit of DevOps pipeline, and you have done quality engineering. But my perspective, so I know there is a bit of BS in the name, because if I say quality engineering, people see quality assurance or quality engineering software. So it's only for coding and developer guys. But in fact, no, for me, quality engineering is really what we need to embed in companies to transform for the digital transformation. So yeah, I worked with Remy DeWitt, which is someone I worked in the past, and he helped me a lot in the review process and to structure my thought around defining quality engineering, the Mamos framework, and everything you can find in the book, like the principles also. Yeah, and so this is what motivated me to work on that.
Okay, and you decided to make it public. I mean, maybe you could have done this work internally in your current company, and that would be already great. But for some reason, you wanted to make it a public project. That's really great.
Yeah, because I believe we have all very similar problems at the same time in many companies. It's also one reason I always enjoyed my work as Redoute. It was always a reinvention, new job position, new context. I saw very different phase of the company. And also by sharing a lot with other people, I know we have a lot of similar problems. So a lot of people will say, yeah, you can change company, you get a better salary, etc. So that was not the point. It was more to say, I love to learn from other companies, and I learn with communities, with Meetup, talking with people that we have very similar problem at the same time. So it's normal. It's why some big companies with SaaS are able to solve the same problem for everyone and scale a lot. But I think in terms of practice and the structure of thought and quality engineering, we have very similar problem at the same time. And I think so I make it public for various objectives. So to challenge what I'm writing, to say, okay, what I'm writing, is it really, do you have the same pain? Do you have the same feedback? Would you improve it? It's also to have better value, and also to benefit to other people that are having the same problem, normally with different type of maturity. So, yeah.
Okay, and so from your personal experience and also the people that you met in this community or elsewhere, what are for you the main challenges and perspectives that the software industry is having today?
Yeah, but for me, it's really about connecting this dot in transversality in multiple areas. So I like to think about Mamos in terms of structure, but I think in methodology, we have a lot of people pushing for agile, for example, but they focus a lot on the product management aspect, a bit on development team, and after they fail to go at the end of the chain. Then you have the DevOps guy that are a lot focusing on the DevOps, engineering productivity, etc. They try to bridge the gap with SRE, a bit with product management, but it's hard to do. Yeah? So for me, I have really the conviction that if we're able to streamline better the end-to-end software lifecycle, we will be able to transform much better companies. So it's why I have also the newsletter I animate, or what I put sometimes in my profile is like quality engineering or dry trying, because I really believe it's what companies is a challenge for companies in the future. Is really like we see in the stats in the Forrester report, etc. Is like 85% of companies are fighting for survival to generate new revenue streams, because there is a lot of competition, innovation, technological change, etc. So it's not like 10 companies or 10% of the ecosystem is with pressure. It's a lot of companies are under pressure for transformation, but we know in retail, we have a lot of pressure and a huge drive for transformation and accelerating the cycles. And I think the main issue of people that are not addressing the transversality of software is that they waste money in a lot of initiatives that don't bring the sufficient results. So, for example, they invest a lot in a scale agile model implementation in organization, but they only change organizational charts. They don't change anything around the interaction of people. They don't and they don't link the organization with the organization they want to build 3 to 4 years after. So in fact, they are just, I would say, change some drawings of the organization, but they are wasting a lot of money, in fact, and they don't get, I was going to say any, but it's not any, but they get really few benefits from a lot of effort. So I think for me, the challenge for organization is really that efficiency of transformation, lean approach, incremental change that delivers the maximum of value. So, and I think this is valid for companies. So try to reconcile their end-to-end value chain of software to really connect the business ideas with value delivery on small increments. And after, we have also for me the same challenge of transversality, mainly in terms of product integration in the ecosystem. So we have a lot, and we have a lot of tooling in CI/CD, but for me, like we are 2022, the only thing we are able to do easily is to deploy CI/CD component pipelines. If we are lucky with a quality gate, with a test automation tool integrating in the ecosystem, if we do a lot of work to integrate standard metrics, observability, etc., we are able to get some dashboard. But for me, it's still very painful today to develop software that have the end-to-end integration with valuable connectors. And I think we have to work a lot in specific industries, not industries, but specific area of software to accelerate the transformation. It's what we are doing in some part, for example. I think it's very positive to have the open telemetry, open API, async API standard that have grown in the market because it helps a lot of solutions to grow, to scale, etc. And it provides a lot of solutions interoperable for the companies, and they are able to leverage after SaaS, cloud, to easily connect something, remove it if it does not work. So I think for me, there is really that part of global interconnectivity of platforms that we have to address in the ecosystem, and not necessarily talking about data science. I think we have a lot of emphasis, okay, data science, AI, it helps to sell products. But I think for a lot of cases, for example, a lot of companies could improve a lot their personalization without data science. Only with some statistical algorithm, well-crafted product, etc., they can do it already. After, they can integrate, when it's possible, AI products that are connected to the, for example, Shopify or a site like that, because it's working well. But I think really for me, the summary is that part of end-to-end connectivity with maturity. Because I think we saw a lot of people talking about low code, no code, it's great, it will change everything. Because we are missing good developers with low code, we'll scale a lot of business ideas. So yes, low code, no code is very great to bootstrap product, test ideas, etc. Maybe scale a bit of business, which is quite standard on e-commerce or something like that. But I believe for me today, if you really want to scale a digital business, you cannot do it only with low code. And I think a lot of people think they can do that. But for me, it does not scale at the end. You have a lot of issues in integration, flexibility, etc., because it's off-the-shelf, one-size-fits-all product. So yeah, so for me, it's really this part. Transversality, connectivity, so internally streamline the value stream of software. And the same for the software industry in terms of technology, components, interconnectivity.
Okay, which makes me think about the next question. All the ideas that you are covering in your material on QA Unit website and other material, they are all taken from your contextual experience in Laudut, or do you have other sources of inspiration?
Yeah, no, in fact, I have a lot, because normally we learn a lot from, and we are more directed by what we do regularly. So I know I have a bias in what I'm writing that is a lot influenced by what I'm doing on a day-to-day at Laudut, because it's my day-to-day, I have a lot of input there. So probably I talk more easily about change management, leadership, architecture technology, because it's what I'm seeing right now. But I'm also very, it's a bit, I like to learn a lot and read a lot. So like I read 1 to 2 books per week normally on IT and other stuff. I have very regular calls with people in communities or meetups. So I like to get a lot of feedback from people outside. I read also a lot of articles, video, YouTube, and I have a lot of feeds there. So for me, the answer would be yes, I have a lot of input from my pains, in fact, or what I've worked, but more from what I've learned that work and did not work. And after, I like to expand topic with outside sources. And I have also like a weekly challenge that per week, I always go in a topic I don't know. Yeah, so I like to deep dive some topic I'm not very aware about, that I'm not comfortable. So I take one topic per week, and I deep dive around that every day, like 20 minutes. So last time it was A/B testing stuff. So I deep dive into A/B testing market, tools, integration in the software industry, integration with cloud provider, best practice, etc. But I also do that on a more organizational aspect or things like that. Yeah. So I like to do that type of stuff, to be like always at maximum up to date. So what I need to learn, in fact, in the software industry. Yeah. And I like to go in places I don't know to increase the transversality I can get. So I like sometimes to increase what I know already, to go deeper in expertise, etc. But I also like to challenge horizontally, in fact. Yeah. So and I have also some concrete outputs in the concrete blogs or articles or pages in the QA unit that are directly linked with what I have done, that I didn't find really in the market directly explained. For example, I talk about some articles about minimum viable moves, and after I talk also about concrete stuff like OKR, Kanban, definition of done, definition of ready. It's all stuff I'm using on a regular basis in the company, in fact. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a lot of things you've done so far. You have the website with the blog articles, podcasts, the book, which is a huge achievement, talks around in conferences. What is the future of QA unit?
Yeah. So in fact, for me, it's really to develop the community. I knew it was a challenge at the beginning because there is no other quality engineering community existing. So we had to create the concept. We had to rally people to the cause. So I believe we have a lot of marketing effort to do, if I would say, to explain what it is, for people to understand what we have in mind, and to connect to say, yes, makes sense for me, I will join, etc. So for me, my really objective, the future of QUnit, is really to grow the community with a number of people. So, and to do that, I'm focusing on increasing the value we are providing as a community. So we have the Slack where we share some content. The Slack is also an opportunity to get mentors, for example. And I really want to also, I will continue the talk at conference as I can, etc., to be able also to spread the word that QA unit is not for QA engineers or only for software engineers. It's really to connect the dot of the end-to-end software lifecycle. So if we have curious software engineers that want to join, that are really passionate about craftsmanship, but want to learn a bit more around DevOps, product management, they are very happy to be there. If you have an engineering manager that want to develop their transversality, it's also a very good opportunity to join there. It's also welcome to CTO or CIOs that are like to share with communities. So for me, it's really this type of transversality. So I'm working on talks around quality engineering I can link with my personal experience. And I'm also trying to push topics that are changing the software industry with quality engineering. So at the French testing conference, we made a talk with Jean-François around the future of quality and testing jobs with quality engineering. So, and I would like to do same type of talk in other testing conference internationally. And a personal objective I have, it would be able to do some keynotes around quality engineering, to share also the word and to have also the best visibility for the talk. Yeah. And after I will also try, so with the less frequency that I did before, but I will try also to reorganize a bit some regular events on quality engineering. I think it's good for people to share, etc. I know there is a bit of fatigue of events, so I will really do the minimal event possible. And I'm also working on the MAMOS definition, so the framework. So right now I have finished on the blog all the methods referential for the foundation of quality engineering. And my next objective for the next semester is to do it for the architecture part, so architecture and technology part. Yeah. So it's really what I'm working on at the moment. So yeah, for me, the future is really to grow the quality engineering community, QUnit, like at the #1 community for quality engineering. Yeah.
Okay, so do you see a traction around this community so far?
Yeah, but bit by bit. So I think it was a good point to create the book, also to clarify what it is and people to connect with what we are trying to do, even if we don't have written everything right now. So in the Slack, we are not that much right now. We are around 200, if I'm correct. On the mailing list that I send on a weekly basis, so Quality Engineering Day Training, we are like more than 1,000 people right now. So, and I would like to make it 10,000 in the coming months, hopefully. But it's really like that I want to spread around quality engineering. So I have a series of talk planned for the second semester in DevOps conference or testing or more general conference. So yeah, so in the upcoming months, yeah, we'll work on that and to also make more, I would say, structuring improvement for early 2023.
Sounds very good. So we can expect a lot of good surprises from QA unit in the forthcoming future, right?
Exactly, and I have a personal challenge also is to put. I made a lot of interviews with people and articles, etc. And I would like to make more visible the people that are contributing and supporting the community. So we have a lot of people like yourself, Jean-François Frézy, Johan Gagero, Emna, Benjamin Butel, Iman, Fred Wiener, Remy De Witt also is helping a lot, Farah. And I would like these people to be more visible. I know some people want also to contribute with an article. I also made leave the door open if someone wants to submit an article or content. I can also help if people are not comfortable in writing. So for me, it's really free to ask. It's really an open community for me. So yeah, anyone wanting to join or to contribute is welcome. Yeah, and I thank you a lot personally, Olivier, to have proposed this reverse interview. It's an interesting exercise, and I hope also it helped to spread the word of quality engineering. Yeah.
The pleasure is mine. I think that was a very interesting format of podcast. If people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way? Is that on your QE unit website or?
Yeah, but there is two main ways. In fact, on the QUnit website, there is an area which is contact where there is my email. It with a picture, else I'm spam with bot. So yeah, and or else people can just go on the join space, the join page, sorry, in the website, and they have the link to the Slack. So and they can talk with me directly on Slack, and also join the community at the same time. So it's a good way to join. Yeah.
Great. So I guess we can probably wrap it here. Thanks a lot, Antoine. It was a pleasure to have you talk about your life and your experience. It's very clear, and I guess it's very inspiring. At least it is for me. So
Okay.
thank you.
Oh, well, thanks a lot for the opportunity. And yeah, we'll share that with the community and hoping it help us. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Olivier.